At least in public, Donald Trump is feeling good these days. He's very confident, not just about the Supreme Court making him a king and all of his cases being delayed, but the chaos on the Democratic side, he's liking it. He's having fun with it, at least publicly. We're gonna talk about what's happening privately in just a sec, but here's the sort of thing that he wants you to focus on. Messages like this on True Social. Crooked Joe Biden should ignore his many critics and move forward with alacrity and strength with his powerful and far-reaching campaign. He should be sharp, precise, and energetic, just like he was in the Capital D debate. In selling his policies of open borders where millions of people, including record numbers of terrorists, are allowed to enter our country from prisons and mental institutions, totally unchecked and unvetted. I'm gonna pause from the joke for just a sec. I love that you could just say that. Every bit of that was madness and lies, and it doesn't matter how many times you fact check it. He just says whatever he wants, and tens of millions of Americans agree with it.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
But going on, he says to ending Social Security, which is obviously under much more risk if he gets into office, men playing in women's sports because he's wildly transphobic, high taxes, high interest rates, encouraging a woke military, whatever that is, uncontrollable inflation, which has been relatively well controlled over the last few months, at least. It is going down. Record-setting crime, only electric vehicles.
Though I love Tesla.
Tesla's the Cybertruck. Oh my God, I get a chubby every time. And then subservience to China and other countries. It gets vague at that point. But anyway, endless wars, which, look, you could criticize what's happened in Afghanistan since we left, and you should. But Biden did end that war.
Yeah, there was an end.
Trump didn't end a single war. He kept all of them.
Yeah.
If you just look at the time span of when he was president, they were endless because they didn't end. They were less an end, actually. And that's why he's saying that, because he knows that he can be attacked for not doing anything to end these wars. And then blah, 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 continue his campaign and make China great again. Which he should hope that Biden does, because if he does, then China will have more money to transfer to Donald Trump in the future.
That's true.
So that would be great for him. So anyway, obviously there's some sarcasm there, Francesca, but what do you make of this strategy of him like sort of poking fun as he, and we'll get into it, desperately hopes that nothing changes in the Democratic side?
What's funny is that like they finally found an angle that is good. Do you know what I mean? Like they've been trying to call Joe Biden some kind of criminal mastermind this entire time, ineffective this entire time, doesn't care about you, is a radical this entire time. It's like, words, names, all right, you're trying. You're trying to impeach him, there we go. And then when he finds an angle, the shade that Trump is able to just cast is incredible. I mean, no one throws shade like he can. And he found it, and it works because he's not wrong. And if there was any clue that Joe Biden, yes, just needs to drop out, is not the guy for this job, it's when Donald Trump is openly mocking him to stay in the campaign with all of his vigor. Like that's how you know. It reminds me of when Trump found an Elizabeth Warren angle, which wasn't a lie. You know, her claiming native ancestry was a little bit cringe considering she had like a very, very small percentage, and it kind of worked. And we were a little bit like, I don't know. And that was like a minor thing compared to, Biden just again, being very, very old on camera. So I don't know,
yeah. And as a result of it, if you were to ask Biden if he has native ancestry, who knows what he would say these days, done. But anyway, look, and then, so he's sort of taunting him to stay in. But we also know, so different conservative legal organizations are saying that if the Democrats try to replace Biden, they're going to sue to keep him on the ballot. Probably not a good sign when they're willing to do legal suits to keep the guy you want on there. And supposedly, I don't consider this as confirmed, but supposedly there's a thing going around encouraging Republicans who are polled about the race to pretend to be Democrats who support Biden to inflate his numbers to keep him in the race. Who knows? It's an internet thing. I don't put much stock in it, but that's what they're saying. But that said, Trump is angry. Not when he's joking around like that. He's happy and he's got a lot of good news these days. But he's also angry at Fox News. He was truthing that they put on the worst people and all done very purposefully. So he's attacking this Wall Street Journal associate editor, a jerk who stinks up the airwaves. And he also was mad at Fox in general. And he wasn't, in one of his messages, he wasn't very specific about why he was so mad, but the time of his message lines up with Fox and Friends playing the clip of, I think, David Axelrod, basically encouraging Joe Biden to drop out. So I don't know if he's mad that if they acknowledge that Democrats are calling for the dropout on Fox, that increases the chances. I don't get the logic there, but he was angry at that time. And he's not the only one, or not the only one who's at least a little bit worried about what could happen as they have their fun at Joe Biden's expense. Lindsey Graham did an interview, I think on ABC News, and he said President Biden will most likely be replaced and Kamala Harris is going to be very vigorous. If Biden steps down, Harris is going to have to pick somebody to help her. If she does become the nominee, this is a dramatically different race than it is right now today. I hope people are thinking about that on our side. So he's a little bit worried, and that's not behind the scenes. That's not anonymous. He said that in an interview. Now, behind the scenes, one House Republican who refused to say who they were or be willing to be identified, I should say, said a younger and potentially more popular candidate on the Democratic ticket would spell for a, quote, tougher race for Trump. As a human, it's probably good for Joe Biden that he's now probably not going to have to be subjected to this for another 4 years. But for the party, it's not great. It's not clear to me that it's good for us either. Another one said, oh, sorry, this might be the same one. It changes everything. It's just a complete unknown wild card right now. Whereas another anonymous House Republican said virtually any Democrat that potentially replaces Biden has an exponentially better chance of defeating Trump. Biden staying at the top of the ticket is the best case scenario for a Republican trifecta. Now, they could be lying. They could be trying to encourage the Dems to do something that they don't actually want them to do. But then why not put your name to it? I don't know. I just, there are these warning signs going out. I just hope some people are paying attention. What do you think?
Well, especially when their party just decided to go with their melty-brained old almost octogenarian who is now a convicted felon and tried to overthrow the US government and the election back in 2021. Like, I mean, they're like, well, we thought this was a suicide pact to doing the dumbest thing possible. But now that you're thinking of maybe doing a smart thing, we don't want to play no more. Like that's exactly what they're doing. They're freaked out. And that's what I'm saying. Like they are scared. Let's listen to them when they're scared. And they absolutely understand, like they could never break with Donald Trump because again, this is the quickest way into fascism. Let's go. Quickest way into getting more tax breaks, quickest way to mass deportations or whatever else they want. But now that the other side might be switching their horse, they should be scared. Even though who knows if it's gonna.
Well, and by the way, like you said, they could never break with him. Well, that would be a quick end to their career. And yeah, it's not like there's a lot of people breaking with Biden. There's like 5 House Democrats, I think, that have identified themselves. You had a couple of senators, but not even everybody. And notably, not even most of the progressives are like actively calling for it. Like Bernie's like encouraged him to shift gears, but it's not like storming the barricades or anything.
It's a centrist fight, John.
I think it's strategic. I think that like you could have Bernie and AOC like kicking down the door of the White House, but then it becomes a narrative of the progressives are trying to push him out. So I'm sure there are people that are like, why is it AOC calling for it? She's a shell. But I think it's actually strategic. They know that in this case, their advocacy would actually hurt the chances. Or at least I think there's a good chance that it would. So I don't have a problem with them taking a back seat on this one. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?